All right, everybody. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning in South Africa. And as usual, we are here at the Winner's Circle. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, click on the subscribe button, click on the notifications bell so that you don't miss any of our upcoming interviews. Now, today, we are interviewing a very phenomenal man. He's a business coach, he's an author, he's an entrepreneur. He's been down and out before, and he's built himself up back again. And those are the kinds of people that we need in our circle so that they can share some of those strategies and wisdom with us. And that's none other than Mr. Ntando Maseko.
Thank you for having me. I am loving your intro. The down and out, I got worried.
You got worried about the
Why
down
are
and
we
out?
exposing each other up front?
You know what I love about me and you? We always have truthful conversations. And that's the kind of man that I've always known you to be.
Yeah.
A man that wants to give authentically to people, not just give to people for the sake of cloud or for the sake of being seen to do well, but mainly because you've got the heart to really want to help, especially entrepreneurs, especially upcoming business people. That's the work that you do. You're a business coach.
It's the work
You do
that
a
I
whole lot
do.
of
It's the
things.
work that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to you and thinking I should record you and use this as my official intro whenever I'm going up on stage. Listen to what Witness Mtaga says. Thanks for having me, man.
So I call you coach.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the nickname that you've taken. A whole lot of people, you're a coach to many people, like an actual business coach.
Funny enough, it's not even always to entrepreneurs. Now I get to coach people that are in their careers. Some want to make the transition into entrepreneurship.
Sure. So maybe perhaps let's start there. Tell us more about that kind of work. You know, you said it now extends beyond just entrepreneurs. Like there are people that are in corporate. I know you're even coaching individuals that are working on their personal finances, people that are building up their careers, people that want to get into entrepreneurship. What does that entail? Tell us more about it, your journey, the work that you do in full.
The question is back. Now, I primarily focus on entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's my passion, and I believe that's my calling, that's my purpose. The opportunity that comes with that is a lot of the challenges that entrepreneurs face are challenges that someone in corporate will face. Struggling with your confidence, struggling to lead a team, struggling with your assertiveness, all of these things, they're universal. They're not isolated to just entrepreneurs.
Sure.
That's when then someone will realize if you helped an entrepreneur get past this challenge, most you could help me too.
Yeah.
But where it began for me, really, and how this book ended up happening is I started off coming out of high school, working for a nice consulting company. We got to start another business outside and left the consulting company. And when we started that business, we were 4. And it's a business that blew up. It succeeded. We made a lot of money. But then things turned. And when things turned, we lost everything. So we were working with Department of Trade and Industry, the TTI.
Yeah.
And a couple of sitters where we needed accreditations and a couple of mines that needed to accredit us to get into their databases. So it was a P2P structure, but still supporting small businesses. So the small business thing has always been a part of me.
Yes.
It's followed me for the past 15 years. Right. Now we did well. The business flopped because of a partnership gone wrong. You know, those happen.
Yeah.
But when that happened, when I lost everything in the business, there was life this side happening. And that's why when I coach entrepreneurs, I walk into a room and say, behind each and every one of you is a nephew, a niece, a child, someone who cares about you, someone who's looking up to you. To them, you're a role model. And that person is counting on you to play this game well. Because when you play the entrepreneurship game well, you open access to them. You open doors for them. You introduce them to possibilities that right now they can only dream about when you play the game well. Where that statement comes from is from the fact that when I lost this money in this partnership, I had told my mom to stop working because I thought I'm fine. I've seen you work so hard to take us through high school. It's my turn, right? And she listened. So she stopped. And I had said, my two sisters that are in high school, let me take them, put them through private school, not even an expensive one, but it's private school nonetheless. So they were on me. But the big deal was I was about to get married. So I was due to pay lobola. So the savings.
It's called bride price.
The bride price. That one. So now I had a call to make. And it's a funny call because you've just lost your business. You've got personal income, like personal savings.
Yeah.
I was at least responsible enough to have that. Now the question and the call was, are you going to go ahead and get married knowing you just lost your business and banking on your personal savings? Or are you going to make the call to the in-laws and say, I'm not coming for a daughter anymore. I have a situation.
That's a difficult situation to be in.
And whenever I throw this in a room full of guys and ask, if you were me, what would you have done? Called the in-laws or said, by faith, I'm going to see what happens.
So what did you do?
By faith, man. Said, let's
You
go.
got married.
Hey, I got married. And the savings between the wedding and the bride price,
Yeah.
all of the savings were gone.
Were depleted.
So now this is welcome to marriage with no money.
A broke marriage.
With no business. And to make it...
Why did you do that? Because you know why I'm asking.
Look,
eh? I know with you, it's a situation you found yourself in, right? You were building the business. Things just didn't go your way.
Yeah.
But in my experience, I mean, I'm not that young of a guy anymore. You know, I've been married before, and I know guys that have been married.
Yeah.
Why is it that, okay, let me not ask why. I've seen guys get married and they don't have any job.
Yeah.
And they don't have any money, right? You did it based on the fact that I understand. I see the entrepreneurial side of you saying, I will rebuild the business.
I'll rebuild. I'll make it work somehow.
Yeah. So why did you get yourself into that, knowing that the savings might be depleted?
All right. So,
and you'll basically
at least
start from
I have
scratch.
the benefit of hindsight now. At the time, I wasn't really thinking deeply about the situation. It's like I wasn't fully aware of the reality of the problem that I was in. You know, when you're going through something and it's like someone who is in debt and they don't go and check how much the debt is.
Yeah. How deep the problem is.
So you are in a problem, but you don't pause and take the time to do a diagnostic and realize you stopped your mom working. That's bad. The school fees for the girls is going to be on you every month. That means you need to be hustling. You can't afford to have 0 sales month, for example. And you're marrying into a family, or you're marrying someone coming from a rich family. That's deep. It comes with
She's used to provision.
Exactly.
And then now she gets to you, you can't provide.
You see now.
Basically.
So I didn't pause to reflect and just do that honest introspection. And the other reason I can think of is a lot of things play in your mind when you're making big decisions. One of the biggest one, and I say this, behind most of my financial disasters, before I made the call, I was worried about what people will say. Before you buy that car, you can't afford. What will people say?
Yeah.
Before you get that house that you can't afford, or before you go and run credit on clothes that you know you can't afford. It's what will people say when they see me with this, or what will people say when they see me downgrade? That people pleasing thing played in my head, and I was quick to say, what will the in-laws say? What will my friends say when I back away and say, I'm giving this a year or two? Now that pressure of thinking in that way.
Were you already in church at the time?
I was in church, and that's another big one. What will the church say?
Yeah.
Because now you're going to have to tell a lot of people that, hey, the wedding is not happening anymore.
And you must explain yourself.
And you must explain yourself. Yeah. And now you reveal stuff about the pocket that you don't want to be exposing.
Yeah. And in hindsight, when I think about it as well, did you really have to explain yourself when you think about it now? Do you think if you said, no, I'm not getting married, you are going to need to explain yourself why?
When you are wiser and mature, you know that you don't have to live your life for people, and you can sidestep those conversations. But when you're young and still counting on the validation of people you consider your mentors, you feel like you have to be accountable enough to at least explain yourself. And when you're young and you know you're breaking new ground. Yeah. You're making a move that other youth around you are proud of.
It's a big decision.
It's a big call. So when you're a role model, it's different. So you will feel the pressure of having to go back and explain.
Okay, so you were a role model to a lot of people.
Model. I was a leader.
Yeah.
So you would know that if you pull away, you're going to have to explain inevitably. Mm-hmm. Because again, when you don't explain, the rumors spread, and that's part of where depression can come from for you.
So now that you mentioned depression, I know that you've been in that space where as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you've had a business fail like it did.
Yeah.
Was there some form of depression? Forget everything, getting married, doing it for people, and all of that. But coming into the business space, when you talk depression, and you had a failed business. Was there a moment where you were depressed, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, well, look, when I lost the business and I was now in this new situation, I lost apartments, I lost the car, I lost everything, right? So you're in a life where every year you're watching your life downgrade. You're downgrading every year, and things are getting progressively worse. So depression is not the reason why I made bad calls. It became a consequence of those bad decisions. So my life was depressing, and that's why I ended up depressed. I was not...
Okay, what do you mean? Your life was depressing and you ended up depressed? What does that mean?
So if someone is coming and they're saying they're depressed, there's a couple of things at play. You look at the environmental context which they find themselves in, which is their life.
Yeah.
If you don't have a job, you have people constantly criticizing you and telling you horrible stuff, and you are in an environment that's killing your confidence. That's a life that is depressing, right? You're constantly trying things and they are not working. So when you look at what you tried yesterday, it didn't work. What you want to try, you're doubting that it will work. The people you're counting on, they're turning their backs on you. That life is what I'm talking about.
That's a depressing life.
So it's a depressing life, and you're not depressed. You're depressed because of just the life that you're living. And when you make lifestyle adjustments to that life, to exposing yourself to those people, and you shift that in that environment where you find yourself in, and you change that, you change the depressing life, and it's step one to getting out of the depression. So I was depressed. I didn't know that I was, but I always then joke about it and say I traumatized the woman I was with, because I would be that guy. When you come and say there's no money for bread, I'll say, do I look like bread? Do I look like bread?
You said that to your wife?
I've apologized many times. I do believe we're friends now.
That's deep though.
It's deep. It's something that you look at years later and realize, I ruined a life. Probably was destroying your confidence and was not aware.
Yeah. Was that not your money blueprint, your internal beliefs about money speaking at that moment? When you say, do I look like bread?
That was just anger and stupidity.
It was anger, but it's rooted in something.
It's rooted in something I think it's rooted in hopelessness. When your life is not going well and you have no plan, you've got emotions brewing and you want to take it out on someone. So she becomes the easiest victim because she's in front of you.
Sure.
Come on?
Yeah.
And for others, unfortunately, it becomes their kids. The partner is not there, and because your life is frustrating you, you take it out on them.
It's a simple thing.
And the blueprint part comes in. If I had a better blueprint, like right now, if I lose all my money, I know I'll get it back.
The blueprint is there.
The blueprint is different.
So you're saying there's no need to be depressed if you lose everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not finding myself in a situation where I'm hopeless because I know there's a way to get it back.
How important is hope?
It's a big deal in that, because if I don't have the hope, then the emotions I'm dealing with is anxiety, worry, depression becomes a consequence of it. So if you don't have hope, those are the emotions you attract. And the more you have of those, the more depression becomes your friend. And when you are depressed, the decisions you take as compared to when you are at your best, motivated, inspired, enthusiastic, coming off a great meeting, for example, you take different decisions. So I give this example about state. Let's say you're coming to the job, and on your way, someone hits your car and drives off. They don't stop to apologize. You get to work, I'm your boss, and I fire you on the spot and say, "Witness, you are the most useless person I've worked with all my life. I regret meeting you. I regret employing you. You've been toxic for my business." And then leave, please. I sent you a message yesterday. You didn't even check your phone. That's how useless you are. And then now you leave. Imagine the state you're in, right? And then when you get home, a child has got a juice like this and it's red. They come running, "Witness, witness," and they pour it on you. And let's say, what will happen to that child?
Yeah. Well,
But
because
then,
I know better now.
you know better now.
Yeah.
But it's in general.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, all
But
those
then when I
words will come out
shift
from the
the
child.
context and say, still you, driving to work, you receive an SMS. And that SMS says, "Congratulations, you just won the lotto, 80 million. And now, you know what happens emotionally.
Yeah.
The song is right. The emotions start going places, right? And you start thinking, do I finish the journey and go to work, or just text them and say, I don't need you guys anymore? Those are the kind of emotions that come. And then say Witness decides to drive all the way, get to work. And when you come to the office, we say, "You know what, Witness, we've got amazing news for you. We actually want to give you the day off to go and process. So this is the news. We just closed a 100 million contract, and it's all because of you. But because of it, we've seen that the future of this company is tied to having you, and we want to give you shares."
Can the day get even better?
And then we're giving you the day off. Please go home and process. And then you get home, the child has got the raspberry juice, and they come running, "Witness, witness," boom, the juice is on your nice suit. What happens to the child? Now, you missed me so much. Now, these are two different states, but one same example. The child is coming with the juice, stains your suit, right? What happens to the child is different based on your state. So a lot of the decisions you're making are based on your state at the time. Horrible state, chances are horrible decisions.
Are we then saying the state of being is then determined by the circumstances that one in?
It's not.
Or
it's
can someone have
determined on
the exact? You see, like the first scenario. Can someone be in that scenario and have a good response to everything that's happening to him?
Yeah. Now, that was a general example to show the power of state.
Yeah.
But now, when it comes
I'm
to...
going deeper, Papa.
I know, go deeper, go deeper. You're welcome. You're most welcome. Now, when it comes to your state, you are in charge. There's a few things that then take place. Your maturity, for example.
Sure.
Your exposure to mentors and teachings and lessons that you've had about anger management and just frame, we call it in NLP frames, the meaning of things. When someone says you are useless, to you it means something, right? To you it might mean I'm ignorant, I don't know better, and I lack emotional intelligence.
You also don't know what you're losing.
You don't know what you're losing. That's a frame. Another person takes a different frame, and when you say the same words, they will suffer for the next 10 years with those words. Witness said I was useless. Because the frame to them is, there must be something wrong with me. And I need to be looking deep and introspecting and finding that thing that's wrong. Why did he have to say that to me? Why do I keep attracting those words? Now, that's another frame.
Sure.
The frame that you look at things at, the frame you use to analyze things and give meaning is the one that determines your state.
Sure.
And how long you suffer. Because if you're using unresourceful frames, so when clients come and they say they're depressed, and clients will come and say, I've lost my business, the wife is leaving, I've lost all my savings trying to figure this thing out, clients have left. I'm hopeless, basically. What do I do? And I laugh. I do laugh.
Because it reminds you of where you were.
It reminds me. And I laugh, and some get offended at first, but an hour later, we're laughing together. Yeah. Because they get it. I'm using a different frame. I'm laughing because I want the frame that they walk away with to be, this is a new challenge for me. Let me figure out how fast I get out of it, how long it will take me to get out of this, and I'll live to tell this story. That's a different frame.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
One frame could be, let me get depressed about it and try and figure out what's wrong with me. That's unresourceful. Try and figure out how long this will last, or this situation is going to be permanent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just going to define me, the new me now. That's unresourceful either. This situation is going to affect all areas of my life. You lost your business, and now your health suffers, your marriage suffers, your kids, all of these things fall apart. That's a different frame, unresourceful, right? So I laugh because I know in the conversation that we're going to have, the person will walk away with a different frame of the situation, a different frame of what caused the problem. Because a lot of the time, entrepreneurs don't realize there is what they think is the problem, but there is the cause of the problem. There's what they are thinking is the problem. But when you dig deep, there's always the actual underlying causes. And those are the ones that they don't solve. And as long as your problem-solving technique focuses on the symptoms that you see, that clients are walking away, for example, and you try to do that, you're going to do a lot of marketing and not realize maybe the product is bad. So not going layers deep to try and find out what are the root causes of problems is then what gets you caught up in a cycle of, I'm trying, but it's not working. Because you're defining the wrong problem and trying to solve it. So I laugh when they come because I know I'll change the frame and we'll go deeper and find out what the real problem is.
So I'm interested to know what your background is in terms of education and life training, for you to be at a position now where you can easily laugh when someone comes and says, this is my challenge.
Some will be crying, eh?
Yeah. So that's why I have that interest. Can you go deeper with that?
Or you're wondering why I get someone who's crying and I laugh at them. And
yeah, because it takes, all right, so it takes a certain level of training.
There is training,
education, as well as knowledge to have that inner knowing that
it's good that you're asking it.
The person will be out of
maybe
this.
Let's put it as a disclaimer.
Like don't do this at home.
This at home.
Yeah.
Right? It's not recommended.
Okay.
I can do it because I know I will read the body language and know where I'm at a certain point with the person.
I get you.
And I have tools from NLP. It's neuro-linguistics programming. It's a coaching technique that we use. But I also studied ontology coaching that focuses on the meaning of things, right? I also looked at person-centered coaching. Now, the combination of these three are what then helped me write a book on confidence. And some of the tools on building confidence come from those and from experience applying the techniques.
Yeah.
So don't laugh at someone. I have the training of the three. I've done my MBA and I'm doing my PhD. And in terms of business training, like I have studied business in school.
Yeah.
I've studied business coaching thousands of entrepreneurs, right? So you learn from them as well. And you learn practically in the field and you learn from school this side. So I've got the backing of both sides. And when it comes to what holds entrepreneurs from implementing, a lot of it is them. Emotions come up when they're trying to execute an idea, when they're trying to brainstorm, when they're trying to call out a team member. Emotions come up and they fail to deal with them and they don't do what they're supposed to do. So the root cause of failure in business a lot of the times is psychological and emotional because the entrepreneur cannot master themselves to do what they need to do, right? Sometimes they know. You've seen this where it's a seminar and someone learns something and they walk away saying, it was amazing, it was powerful, truly life-changing. My life will never be the same again.
Yeah.
And then they go home and you're asking 2 weeks later, they say it was powerful, it was life-changing. And then you ask, what did they teach you about? You are here, but it was powerful, right? So that's the thing. A lot of the things, we just pull information, get excited about it, and don't understand that knowledge takes you somewhere. Understanding takes you to a place where you can apply. And when you're at that place where you can apply, there's always emotions you deal with. There's insecurities you deal with. That applies to an entrepreneur as it does to someone who's in their career.
Yeah. Did you have any mentors or people that helped you at your lowest moment for you to rebuild? Because it sounds like there's a certain level of confidence that you have. And you know, you can tell when confidence is fake. And you can tell when it's genuine. And I'm sensing a strong sense of genuine confidence. Where does that confidence come from? Was it taught to you? Can confidence be taught? Has it always been there? Did you develop it after going through the rough patch in your life?
All right. So I'll tell you from the book, The Art of Self-Confidence. They are, I call them 4 S's.
Is that your other book?
Yeah.
The Art of Self-Confidence.
It's the one that's launching next week. It's going to print actually.
Okay. The Art of Self-Confidence. You heard it first on the Winner's Circle.
Yes. It's being announced for the very first time. So there's 4 S's that build confidence. Right. The first one is skill, competence. When you do something successfully once, you know you can do it again. And when you do it again and you do it again, the confidence grows. Like if I put Bill Gates here and say, witness, brush your teeth, do it well. That's a task you know that I will do well. For anyone listening, whoever you are, that's an easy task.
Unless they've never brushed their teeth.
Yeah, unless you've never brushed your as long as it's something you've done over and over again, you know you're skilled at it and you don't think twice about it.
Sure.
But when we put a billionaire here or a panel and say, pitch your business, and you've never done it before, you start to deal with anxiety because it's the first time you're doing it or you've never done it successfully. So how you build skill is experiential. So it's that courage to put yourself out there, do it even in small steps and just get better because you were born not walking, but now you can walk. Walking at first was messy, but now you walk and you bounce, right? When you were born, you were not talking. You didn't know how to speak English. Try and picture when you were learning how to speak English. It was messy, but now you're articulate, right? There's a journey and a process to learning, and there's a journey and process to building skill. When you build skill, you build confidence. So that's the first one. The second one is, I call it success, and the other is success stories. Success, so there is skill where you've done it over and over again. There's success when you get accolades, when you get acknowledged, where you win. Winning builds confidence. There's success stories you're looking at where you hang around a witness, because witness is doing social media successfully. He's a success story that makes me believe this can be done, right? And the more of such friends you have, the more of stories you have around you that create possibility, a sense of possibility within you.
Yeah.
The opposite of it is where the stories around you are stories of failure. People are trying things and it's not working for them. And those are the people that are surrounding you, right? You get used to the fact that life is generally hard and stuff doesn't work for many people. And that kills your confidence. So the more you hang around with people that are doing it, the stories you surround yourself with create the confidence. The last one is support. And support, I love this one because there's a kid that used to bully us in school. The kid was skinny and short, but no one would dare. The kid would bully kids that are a grade or two above him. Skinny and short as he is, but no one would dare touch him. You know why? The brother was the ultimate bully. So he can do such things with confidence, and you look at him and wonder, where does he get the confidence to do that? He's got support. So support breeds confidence. If you've got a lot of strong entrepreneurs backing you and saying, go for it, young man, we'll support your idea, you go for it with confidence. If you've got zero support, and there's a lesson on parenting as well. If parents say, take chances, we've got your back. If it fails, come back home, try again and launch. That's support. Someone with that level of support finds it easier to generate the confidence to try and take chances than someone who has no fallback, no support.
Yeah.
A policeman comes and says whatever they will think to say. They don't need emotional intelligence to say it because they've got the full arm of the government backing them. There is weight in the uniform. That's support. So it's easy for them to be confident and say whatever. So it's a lesson on parenting. It's a lesson on just surround yourself with the mentors that you're asking about. And I remember you asked me about a mentor. I've had many mentors along the way.
When did I ask you about a mentor?
You said, did you have mentors?
Oh, I asked you that.
Coming out.
I thought you forgot.
Yo. I talk a lot. You know me, you know yourself too.
Come on, tell us. Because, I mean, you talked about backing and support. And I'm guessing
that support.
That support also came from the people that saw the potential in you, even when you were down and out, and decided to mentor you. Take us through that.
It came from a couple of pastors, one who took me in to stay with him when I was at my most depressed, if there is a scale.
Yeah.
And staying with him was truly life-changing because he did not take me into his house and say, let me lay hands on you or anything like that.
Yeah.
Took me into his house and it became quality conversations where someone is asking about your dreams and you pause and think, I'm depressed, I'm broke, life has battered me, but you're asking me about dreams. Open your eyes, right? But he persisted and had that kind of conversation with so much reverence where you listen and think, what does he see in me that clearly I don't see? And even years later, in the book, I asked him, because I did visit and asked, what did you see that made you want to help even? Because you could easily have just ignored me. And he says, you are one of many that through depression, through things not going well, have lost so much confidence. They don't see what they have. Like God would come to Moses and say, what's that in your hand? Go to the woman and say, the oil in your house. You are so close to the situation, you don't see that you've got something that you could use to launch yourself. And you can start again, you can start small. But that's something, that start is what you need to get to that place that you're aspiring for. So when you are so deep in it, you lose sight of that. So that's what he was bringing out in me, showing me that. And he asked me a question at the end of it, that you lost your business, you lost your money, you lost the accreditations, you never lost your skill. You never lost your qualifications. I had forgotten, because that's what depression does. You lose sight of what you have because you're so focused on what you don't have. You're focused on what you've lost. Right? So mentorship for me with him, it was an incubation where in that space, I got to realize I still have a lot to offer. There is still something that I know that someone will pay for. And if I just start, it was hard at first, but if I just start, it will take me somewhere.
Okay.
So that's what mentorship was like for me. And it was a time that I reflect on and sometimes get emotional, because without that, I wonder where I would have been.
Sure. So we're drawing to a close, and I feel like there's a lot in you that you need to be telling us. So we're hoping to have you again for part 2 of this conversation.
Yes.
You know? And perhaps when you come back for part 2, we can talk more about the power of mentorship. And we have a lengthy conversation around it.
Right. It's why I do it, and it's why I do it the way I do it.
It stems from the fact that you were mentored.
I've been there and I've seen someone help me through a very difficult situation. That was a traumatic period in my life. And because I can give you an example, there's a conversation where I'm looking at my mom and she's holding back the tears because we were talking about what we're going to sell in her house to survive. Sold the TV, sold the couches, sold the radios. We sold stuff to survive. I made it up, by the way. When I came back, I did buy a car and all the stuff is back. But imagine knowing that you are doing that to a parent. You told them to stop working. And everyone is in this fix because of some calls and decisions that you made. You had more confidence in yourself that you should have at the time. And you made decisions that made the situation worse at a time where you could have taken 1 more year to get married, for example. But then you start to realize you put yourself in situations that got progressively worse instead of making the situation better. So mentorship caught me in that spell. And that changed my life.
Wow. So, since you're so passionate about mentorship,
yes,
I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Look into that camera there. There's someone sitting at home and they are probably depressed, hopeless, maybe lost their business, lost their job. I need you to say something to that person and encourage them.
Okay. If you've lost your job, you've lost your marriage, you've lost your kids, you've lost everything, I want you to remember 3 things. 1, that situation is not permanent. You can think about it as permanent, and that's a mistake. When you think this will last forever, things will not change, it's not true, it's a mistake, and thinking like that causes the depression. It induces the depression. And when you're in that state, you don't do what you're supposed to do that will get you out. You don't look for the support you're supposed to look for that will get you out. So nothing is permanent. It's not going to last forever. It's for a season. The second, it's not pervasive, meaning it doesn't affect every area of your life. You've got a couple of areas in your life. You've got your health, you've got your finance and career, you've got your relationships, you've got your spirituality. When you look at all these areas, they don't have to interlap when a problem comes. If a problem came because it was a business problem, it was a job loss problem, treat it as a job loss problem. Don't let your health suffer because of it. Don't let your spirituality suffer because of it. Don't make it all encompassing. So don't take an isolated problem and make it a lifestyle problem that affects everything about you and who you are. You can't do that. It's a mistake. But when you stop and know that this is a business problem, let me look for help treating a business problem. My kids don't have to be victims of the business problem. You've isolated it. So it doesn't become Mount Kilimanjaro, but it becomes a tiny Nyana mountain for you to climb, right? The third one is, it's not personal. It's not about you. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't attract it to you, right? It's not. Now, when I always give this example, it's a sad example. When someone fails exams and goes and commits suicide, they answer these three things differently. They say it's personal. There's something wrong with me. When I compare myself to other kids, they are better than me. I will always be like this because I'm dumb, I'm faulty. That's making it personal. And as long as you are doing that, know that it's a mistake. It's not true. It's a frame. And it's not a resourceful frame. It's not a resourceful way of looking at that situation. So it's never personal. Nothing is wrong with you. And one, two, as long as you're human, you can learn, you can grow, you can develop yourself, right? So it's not personal. It's not pervasive. That you failed exams doesn't mean you're going to fail in entrepreneurship. You're going to fail in relationships. It's not all encompassing. It's just exams. Isolated to just exams, right? And it's not permanent. You fail one exam. It's not that you're going to fail every other exam. And it's not that you're going to fail in everything that you try. Failing in school doesn't mean you'll fail in sports. Doesn't mean you'll fail in acting. Doesn't mean you'll fail in online side hustles, right? Life has a lot to offer. Failing in one means there's your thing out there. Stop fussing about this one and find your thing. So it's not permanent, it's not pervasive, it's not personal.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not permanent, it's not pervasive,
It's not personal.
it's not personal. And you heard it here on the Winner's Circle with our guest, Mr. Ntando Maseko, the author of this book, Welcome to Financial Freedom. He's a business coach, he's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman. And thank you so much, sir, for giving us a moment of your time, sharing. We know how expensive time is nowadays.
Yeah,
So
true.
thank you for sharing your time with us, taking time to empower our listeners. And if you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button, click on the notifications bell, comment, let us know where you're watching from, let us know what your thoughts are
Yeah, drop
about
those
this
questions.
powerful interview. And perhaps in the next conversation with him, he will answer some of those questions that you'll drop in the comment section. Until next time, have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Po, 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 po. Nice one. Nice one. Nice one. Nice one. Nice one.